Welcome to Talking Halo. It's Derek Ciapola with my co-host, my partner in crime, Jared Tims, and we are here to talk more about Arte Moreno and the Angels, where they're going, where they've been. I think everything in between, judging from the looks on Jared's face. Jared, how are you, man?
I'm not doing too bad. Excited to talk about it. How that, in a sense, the dust is settled and we're able to kind of fully wrap our heads around it instead of just giving, an initial crazy thought, crazy idea about it, like, Nate and I did last week about it. So it'll be interesting to see what we come up with. I know I got more to talk about. I have, some interesting ideas. So,
All right, well, let's hear them. Let's hear them.
Right off the bat, nothing else?
Yeah. Because you know what? I've been sitting there going back and forth about for a few days, and I've been kind of contemplating how I feel really in general about it. I can't really make sense of the fact that given where the team is right now that he wouldn't sell other than he saw something that made him stay. So I'm trying to kind of be objective with it instead of just fly off the handle, kind of like what you're talking about. So my mind isn't really made up yet. It's just not. I'm sitting there going, well, this, and this, and I think I'm close. I think I'm not happy about it, given the track record of the last 10 years. But here's a question though: what if he goes back to his track record of the first 10 years?
Yeah, and in a sense, he was handed a gift by Disney, right? Like, they're coming off the World Series. You have a good farm system already. You have a team in the making there, and what happens after that, and we've seen it, and it hasn't been very good. So yes, if he goes back to Arte Moreno, the fan, Arte Moreno, the walking around the upper deck, during games, actually at games, because the last time he was at a game was I know because he was giving away awards. That was the last time he was at a game that I've seen. We've not seen him at a game since then. Opening day, nothing like that. Probably since 2019, maybe 2020, I think. So It's been a long time since he's actually been at a game. So if he gets back to where he was before, the Arte Moreno that wants to truly go out there and win and realize that you're going to make money off of winning and not money off of, putting out a flashy team, cutting back on everything, including development and everything like that, and letting the guys you hire do their thing. And you look at like the scouting department that got Trout, that draft was probably one of the best drafts, not just in Angels history. It was definitely the best draft in Angels history, but one of the best drafts of all time when you look at it. You look at who they got that year. I mean, Trout, Richards, Skaggs, Grichuk, just to name a few, couple more down there on that list. Corbin. I mean, you look at that entire draft, and I mean, that is to get that in, a couple year span is solid. To get that in one draft is unbelievable. And you tip the cap to development, and you tip the cap to the scouting department on what they did there. With that being said, if Arte can go back to the way he was, then 100%, loving the game, being at games, not, short ending things, not cutting things short or anything like that, then 100% do it, because every owner is like that. Like if every owner has to love the game, not as much as Steve Cohen. You don't have to go out there and throw $350 million on a team like he is this year. But I mean, to own a team, you have to like it to some degree. So I think at the moment, only time will tell. But yeah, if he can get back to that, I'm okay with it. Like it's fine. He's a good businessman. If he can just step away from interfering with baseball, it'll be okay. But only time will tell on that side of stuff, right?
I think that's a conundrum. I think when you look at, I just wanted to use the word conundrum, to be honest. the reality though, I keep hearing this is he doesn't want to win. He's not trying to win. That's not true. I mean, he's trying to win. He's been trying to win, but somewhere along the way, it became more focused on how he wants to run things instead of how a baseball operator is going to run things. And that's what we want him to get back to. I don't think I mean, there's no question in my view that he does care. That's another thing. He doesn't care. He doesn't want to win. No. He does. He does. But when you're a successful businessman and you've been doing this for a long time, after a while, in many cases, you stop listening to other people. You stop thinking that you know everything. Not everybody does this, but this does happen. It's been the downfall of great many businessmen in American history. But you cannot in a baseball world where the game has changed a lot the last 20 years. We've had so many conversations about rule changes and so on and so forth. And the shift 25 years ago, no one what, and now you got to ban the shift. So I just look at it and think, can he let go of baseball operations and let the people he hired to do their job? And if he can let go and heck, go back. I mean, when he was hired, no, when he bought the team, when he bought the team, he became quickly one of the most beloved owners in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
He was engaged. He worked with the entire way things are priced at the stadium. I mean, he was an average Joe's owner, and somewhere that got away. But that guy is still there. He didn't just magically disappear. He's still there. Where's his eyes at? And maybe during this time frame of sale, maybe he didn't like what he was hearing about how other people wanted to run the team. Maybe it brought him down to earth. Now that's kind of idealistic thinking. I don't necessarily believe that. I'm hoping that. But on the flip side of it, if he's going to keep doing the things that he's been doing, it's a bad day for Angels fans if he's staying.
Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And it also brings up another really interesting question that more so I want you and I to talk about, because I would know the answer of Nate. I would know the answer of Brock. But two people to actually think this through is, Arte Moreno, is it a good idea to even keep Shohei Ohtani? Because there's two sides of it. From a fan side of things, from a business side of things, Shohei Ohtani is a very good person to keep in-house, keep around, throw money at, right? And that brings up the question of, like, is that Artie's first move? Like, hey, Perry, you need to go get this guy at all costs. Extend him. Do not let him hit the free agent market. And if that's the case, then you're kind of back to where we've been before, the Pujols, the Josh Hamilton thing, and even Mike Trout thing, where nobody wanted Trout to walk or anything like that, but it was always questioned: do you trade Trout? Do you do this? Do you do that? Do you extend him? For me, it was always extend him. You build around this guy. That's where I stood. With Shohei Ohtani, I've always thought, like, Shohei has brought a little bit less to the table. He takes away the DH. What if he gets hurt? He's been very injury plagued in the past. Since 2020, he has been, since the last 2 years, he's been very, very good. One of the best players in baseball. But look at his four years before that. Injury, wasn't the hitter that he was now. Wasn't the Tommy John, the this, the that, the knee, the back. He's had the injuries that are scary. So I look at Shohei Ohtani on a different standpoint of, is he actually gonna help the team long term? Mike Trout's gonna need to DH at some point. Anthony Rendon's gonna need to DH at some point, and that's just gonna be Shohei Ohtani's position for the next 12 years. And what if he gets hurt and can't pitches anymore? Then he's a $45 million DH. That's scary to me. That really, really is. I understand from a business standpoint, that could be Artie's first move is, I want to go extend Shohei Ohtani, make that big splash and show everybody what I'm made of. But I just don't know if that's the right move to make if I'm Artie, right?
Well, the way I look at it is you really can't keep him. I'm on something I don't want to. I saw someone make this argument online this week, and the idea was, listen, look at how much money that the Angels are making just from Japan itself, the money coming in through media and so on and so forth. But the problem is not the fact that you're making money from Japan. The problem is the luxury tax. And that luxury tax does not change whether or not you're making extra profit from somewhere else. It is what it is, and it will always be what it is. And if you cross that salary threshold, regardless of what amount of money, what profit you make, you're going to have that threshold. The Angels, I think, are probably going to be willing to cross that threshold on a limited basis if they're in contention, if they're there at the end. So come trade deadline, I think they will. However, long term, can they do that with Mike Trout already under contract, making nearly 40 a year? And then you add on what will be easily a $50 million contract. That's $90 million a year on two players. It just doesn't make mathematical sense for the Angels when they have other financial commitments as well. And therein the problem. In a perfect world where you're not under a kind of salary cap system where you're going to pay a massive amount. This is not the taxes for crossing the luxury tax. The money you're paying into that, it's high. It's not a light penalty you pay. The Mets are going all in this year. They're going to pay a price for this. They are. And the Angels, this is why they've always been willing to go close but not over, because they don't want to pay that same price. And most teams don't want to long term. Some teams can. Can the Angels long term? I don't think they can. They're not going to be willing to. Financially, this is what you have to do. So I don't see how they can keep Ohtani. Would I like them to? Yeah. I'm not worried about the limitations that you talk about, like DH and so on and so forth, because of what he brings. But it's just a money situation where you cannot keep a guy who's going to make $50 million a year, especially with other concerns. By the way, do I think they can work it out? I think they can. But kind of the irony, by the way, is you keep hearing this of, well, Ohtani wants to win. Ohtani wants to win. All these guys want to win. Well, if you want to win, here's the conundrum. You have this situation where you have to keep your team within a certain salary area, and yet you want to make your own bones. Sooner or later, a decision has to be made. Like, do I take less? And in today's world, that's not allowed. Like, your agent, the union's going to be all over you. No, you can't take less. Well, you can't say, I want to stay here, I want to win, and I want to make all this money. Usually it's not going to work. So I'm kind of watching Ohtani, because the whole thing is I want to win. I want to win. Well, you want to win, you're going to go somewhere and make $50 million. In the process, you're going to wipe out someone's salary structure, which makes it less likely they can win. That includes the Angels.
Long term, I agree with that. I do. And that's also, again, what scares me. You look at it next year, though. Shohei's making 30 mil this year, right? You look at two guys that come off the books next year, Gio Urshela, who's probably going to make in that $9 to $10 million range, and Hunter Renfroe, who's going to make in that $9 to $12 million range. 9, let's say, like, at the minimum, 9 plus 9, 18. You're already making Shohei's 30 million. That's $48 million right there. There you go. That's Shohei Ohtani's contract right there, right? You're getting rid of Urshela, you're getting rid of Renfroe. Adele's probably playing the outfield. You have your shortstop of the future and Neto coming up. That's why I think that you look at the money makes sense there. I don't think down the road it does. But the money next year makes sense.
It does make sense if they front row the deal. A lot of times you backload the deal, front load the deal. So instead of you making more money at the end of your contract, you're making more in the beginning. So maybe you pay him 60 mil his first 2 years, and then it goes down to 40.
Yeah.
Maybe you do that. And that's what they should have done with Pujols, by the way. But teams are reluctant to do that. And maybe the process is you guarantee more of it. But it does work if you're willing to front load it more, which means more money toward the front. It means you're going to be in the luxury tax for a couple of years in the beginning, and you'll be able to even it out at the end. But and another thing they need to be doing here is how often does baseball actually raise the luxury tax threshold?
They're going to be doing it a lot the next couple of years for sure because of the CBA agreement. It goes up. I think it goes up to 260 at some point. It could be less.
So there is light in the tunnel. This is what you're talking about for the NFL. The NFL actually reduced their salary cap structure a couple of years now. In the next 2 years, the new TV contracts come up. You're going to see the salary cap jump. The NHL, the NBA also kind of went in the States with COVID. That stuff with new TV deals coming up, that will jump. So if I'm the Angels and I want to keep Ohtani, then I'm front load the deal, and then I can, we see that jump, all of a sudden you'll be okay. Will it match up though? But on the same token, if they don't want to do this, and people have already been frying us, if they take Trout and they move Ohtani, you just rebuilt your entire organization for the next 10 years.
Yeah. I've always been on a non-Trout trade, by the way.
I mean, I'm not saying you
I
should.
don't think the value's there at the moment either. I mean, you look at him; he's going to be getting a little bit older. I mean, sure, he makes a difference for a team that needs to win right now, and everything. But the contract's not the most team friendly.
I mean, he's
still Mike
only
Trout.
like 30, man. Come on,
he's still Mike Trout.
He's not 35 years, and he can still hit for power.
Yep.
You know, he's not running like he used to, but he's still Mike Trout.
Yeah. I mean, last thing to think about with the this whole Arte situation is now that Arte's going to keep the team. Can you imagine if Arte now lets him walk?
Oh man, it's gonna be brutal.
It's gonna be brutal. Can you he keeps the team, he lets him walk, like he didn't let a new owner do that, or anything like that, but it's now on Arte when you think about it, right?
Well, I mean, if you're in Arte's situation, you can't let him walk now.
No,
you have to either trade him or sign him. That could be a good thing. We were always concerned about him walking. Walking is the worst thing possible. If he's not going to stay and your team is like one game over 500, 10 games under 500 come All-Star break, you got to trade him. You got to move him because you're not going to win the World Series. You're just not. You're not. Your team is showing at that point you're not structured for it.
You that trade him or go all in at that point, right? You have to make the playoffs.
And this is why I'm okay with them. I mean, everybody loves Mike Trout. Man, I love Mike Trout. He's been a constant professional since he came up. He's been, representing the Angel organization. Nobody wants to see him go. But if you're looking at the future of the organization, if you're going to move one, you might as well move both, and you would be competing for a World Series in a couple of years. That's the kind of haul you can bring between those two.
You could have just moved Ohtani last offseason or last July and gotten the haul that you got for that Juan Soto got from. So
they could have, but the reality is they don't want to move him. They want him to be an Angel his entire career.
Just depends if he wants to be one.
They invested a lot into him as much as people keep talking about he did this and he did that. The Angels took a lot of risk with him. They put up with a lot of injury issues with him. They could have given up on him those first couple of years when he kept getting hurt and kept getting hurt and kept getting hurt. They didn't give up on him. So it's not like it's one way. Yeah. It's both ways. And in the end, you got to hope that something's workable. But if not, you got to move them.
No, I'm in full agreement there with you. So I don't got any more on this topic. You got anything else?
Fantasy baseball. A couple of years ago, we had fantasy baseball. We had 4 leagues going. We have 2 that are either partially or mostly filled right now, and we have been getting more and more email addresses. Or listen, we're not gonna put you on some kind of mailing list. We just want to have fun. Okay, so DM the Talking Halos page on Talking Halos. You can get us on Facebook. You can use the webpage we have to send us contact information if you want us to add you to our fantasy leagues this year. You could just have a email list just for fantasy baseball. We're doing it through Yahoo, so there you go. Okay, so we're moving. Although I have to give you a hard time, Jared, because you've got your invites. You haven't joined one league yet.
No, I have not. They're sitting in my inbox. I know where they're at. Sorry, I went skiing and been busy. So I'll do that right after this, though.
You know what, Dan? You're ridiculous. You're ridiculous. That's all I got, folks. Follow us on Twitter, Talking Halos. Follow Jared at Jared_Tims. It's just Jared_Tims, right? I had a moment there. Hey, senior moment, even though I'm not old. Follow me on Twitter as well. But don't forget Facebook. Don't forget the website. We got stuff going up there. And very soon, we'll have the Tour in the League series. So in the meantime, take it easy and we're out of here.